Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Boardroom Podcast, where we help you change lives and have business on your terms. I'm excited because I have an incredible guest here. Her name is Bijal Patel, essentially branding her as like the seven-figure brand strategist. She's the one that helps you build $1 million brands, right? And understand like the strategy behind it. How do you think about creating a presence online and being very, very intentional about it? And how do you do it in a way where it's aligned with who you are, your core value, what you do, and how you want the market to perceive business, your company, and ultimately, how do you want to show up online? You know, what do you want people to see when they search for you and enter your world? And she's well connected. She's worked with the best. Your favorite mentor uses her to unfuck their brand and make sure that they have the brand strategy in place. So I'm excited to have her on here so we can ultimately unpack her genius when it comes to branding. And you guys are already starting to see like some of our stuff that we're rolling out. Our brand is not goofy. It's looking so good, and she is the woman behind it. So, Bijal, I want to give the audience an opportunity to just kind of like learn your creative genius and how you think and how you came about being who you are. Like, where'd you get started? Like, how'd you even get into brand strategy?
Yeah, totally. Total accident. Like totally not meant to do this. No formal training. Like got fired from my well-paying corporate job and then landed as an entrepreneur, a dream I
Yeah.
never had. So
An
like the exact
accidental entrepreneur.
opposite.
Those are typically the best, you know, because it's like you're not doing it for the wrong reasons. You like you kind of get started. If it happens by accident, it's typically you're just doing it out of passion.
Yep. I think it's passion. And I also think this is where I think the spiritual realm or the God realm of whatever people believe in source, I think that that plays a part because when you're not doing the right thing, you will be redirected. And if you're not willing to listen, you will be plucked out and like
Hmm.
thrown into like an Amazon forest and like told, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. And with that great uncertainty in front of you, the only thing you have is within yourself a deeper knowingness of your soul that you're meant to
Yeah.
pursue something. And I think that that really the how do I do this? It's because the vision I have is much greater than the day-to-day life that I'm living right now. You know, like Iggy, we were just talking about how you're eating
Yep.
glass right now. And I'm like, dude, me too. Every day eating
Yeah.
glass,
When
right?
what does eating glass mean for you? Like how do you define it? Because it's a very visual term. Nobody wants to eat glass.
Yes, I think I just like that because I just want to make it clear. Like, I have my company launch, and like, there's amazing things about it. Like, we're world class branding agency and consultancy. We've been in business 5 years, knock on wood, year over year growth. I have an amazing team, and we've had some of the best clients out there from people who are starting, their multi six figure journey up to multi eight figures. And it's incredible to serve a range of clients who is really impact centered and absolute geniuses at their craft. Like so much fun. But when I think about eating glass, I think about the agency life of like the pure mathematics of how much are your packages? What does investment look like? How do you get your team corralled around what the processes are and the systems to deliver in a way that's efficient and effective, but still maintains what your profit margin looks like? And I think a lot of, if you were to look at the realm of creative agencies, when you say passion, yeah, they don't see profits. They are literally hanging on by a passion thread. And I'm proud to say that we are still living our passionate purpose, but we are absolutely profitable while we do it. And that's where the eating
Yeah.
glass
Yeah.
happens.
So talk a little about that. I mean, did you always kind of start out having like your business model and how you built your creative agency? Does it look the way that it did when you first started out? Like, were you one of those that were fortunate enough to maybe have the right mentor earlier on and they helped you lay a solid foundation? Or did you have to blow the entire thing up
No,
and start over a few times?
no. Let me just like let's throw our mentor under the bus. No I'm kidding. It's not his fault. It's totally I started my agency on my own. I actually started doing commercial interior design. And so that's what I did the first year in business, which is basically designing headquarters for Fortune 500 companies. Like I did that for 13 years And so I have a deep bench of working with like Bank of America, Heinz, CBRE, ExxonMobil, Johnson Johnson, like actual companies you know of, I've presented to their boards. Like, this is your 500,000 square feet, 2-tower headquarters. And this is why the design is this, and walked them through it. So when I started my own business after I got abruptly fired after having my second baby, my two bosses weren't a fan of me breastfeeding and mothering all the time. And they're like, we need you to be back at work. And I'm like, you know what? I am done being your worker bee. And I am no longer going to just keep winning you awards while you just whip me into doing the next thing.
From worker bee to queen
When
bee.
I let that go, worker bee to queen bee. Yeah. And I didn't even realize I said that. Yeah. I was the best worker bee on the planet. You know how this is, Iggy, your story too. The typical immigrant has that work ethic of coming into this country. And I just like knew how to work and climb a corporate ladder. But I saw there was a cap there. So I did commercial interior design for the first year, hit 6 figures the first year. Woo! Awesome. Amazing. The big dream. Also didn't realize that top line revenue didn't mean I actually took home 6 figures. So when my tax return came and said I made $53,000, I was like, it's wrong. I made $102,000. My husband, who is an entrepreneur longer, was like, honey, that's your top line revenue. You didn't actually bring that home. And I was like, they're wrong. He's like, the IRS is wrong. Like, you didn't. I go, where did the money go? He's like, that's a question for you. So that was the first year. Speaking of eating glass, not knowing the difference between top line revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, net profit, and then what the hell do you take home as owners' draws and reimbursements? So I started, my business abruptly slowed down right before COVID hit in March of 2020. And I knew commercial real estate was going to totally get decimated. And I joined an online coaching program with our mentor, Taylor Welch. At that time, he had an old company. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but maybe I'll bring commercial interior design online. People are going to need office space because now they're having to use their homes as office. So lesson number 1, never trust your friends and family who say it's a good idea for your marketing. They are these same people who will not buy anything you
not
sell.
willing to buy anything, but willing to give you their 2 cents.
And it's not even 2 cents.
And they've not done the thing, but they have a ton of opinions on how to do the thing.
It's not 2 cents. They're willing to give you 2/4 of their opinions and judgments and fear. And it's not even 2 real quarters.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So needless to say, nobody bought anything. Nobody who was like screaming from the rooftops. So lesson number 2 is, so lesson number 1 is top line revenue does not equal your profitability. Lesson number 2, while your friends and family are good humans, they are not going to buy your stuff. So like you can just take them out of your ears now, like you would at your pods. And then from there, I started accidentally in branding. When I couldn't sell interior design online, I saw a bunch of online entrepreneurs be like, do you like logo A or logo B? And it was off this thing called Fiverr. And I was like, what the hell is Fiverr? And why are you guys paying for this? This looks like trash. And so
I'm not gonna lie. I've started a lot of, I've gotten a lot of creative work off Fiverr. It's just like one of those low hanging fruit. Like, I need a logo, but I don't know where to go to get one. Fiverr has it for super cheap.
We're aware. We are aware. We had to fix your Fiverr stuff. So I'm 100% aware that you are a customer of Fiverr. And so I would write like option C, none, go back to base. What is this? Why are you paying $900 for a logo, but then wanting to charge people $9,000? Like, you look exactly like you look exactly like the products of your branding. And so total accident, man. That's how it's
so walk me through kind of like making that transition, going from commercial design to branding and things like that. Like, what kind of gave you, what gave you the confidence to be able to just call it out?
I think there were transferable skills, but like I had a master's of art in interior design from SCAD. So like the interior design department sat next to the graphic design department, but sitting next to someone does not mean you know how to use Adobe Illustrator the way I knew how to use Adobe Photoshop or
Yeah.
Adobe InDesign. But I knew enough that I had designed some logos in the past after having designed millions of square footage of interior design space. I understood color, harmony, design principles, and I had literally worked with Fortune 500 companies. So I knew what their brands look like, and we used to adhere to their
Hmm.
brand guidelines and take them and make them come to life in a
Yeah.
three-dimensional space. So there were some transferable skills, but if you saw me poking around in Illustrator, I still don't know how I designed anything. Like, I don't think I'm the best graphic
Yeah.
designer out there, but I do have a creative direction eye that can get us the end result we need without
Yeah.
doing it myself. So I rely
So
on my
you're like
team a lot
really, I
to do it
mean,
now.
you're like the strategic genius behind like really pulling out like what's going to be the strategic direction of this. How does it need to look? What are the aesthetics of it? I mean, really building out almost like you're the architect, right? Where it's like building out like the blueprints
Yeah.
and like, hey, here's kind of like the overall, but you have a team of people who are really good at implementing the strategy and getting those things done and bringing the end result to life.
Yeah, 100%. And like back to your original question though, is like I didn't always have
Hmm.
that team. And so there's a moment in your life where you're going to have to bet on yourself. And what I've learned is that the moment, and Iggy, I think you have a story that fits in perfectly here, is like, like your
Yeah.
missionary trip is like you bet on yourself at the moment where it's every single thing is on the line. So I just want to give hope to our audience and our listeners to say, if your back is against the wall, and I call it literally face down, ass up, is like the best leverage you could ever have because you can't
Yeah.
go any lower. It's time to push yourself up out the ground. And when you are at one of those moments, the shadow of the valley of death, that is exactly where you will find your light. And that will be the next move you take, and your momentary fear gets suppressed because you are required the courage to persevere and try something. And you may look like a complete imposter or an idiot when you're done, but you have no other choice because you're at
Yeah.
rock bottom. And I've seen that a lot of people come up from that space and that place, just like you did with your
Yeah,
missionary trip.
100%. And it's in those moments where you kind of go through and you face that and you're facing your fears, right? Like your worst possible fears have kind of happened, right? And you're like, all right, what do I need to go from here? Right. And it's in those moments where like your ability to be resourceful and solve problems like unlocks just out of desperation.
Exactly. Like that's the word. It's like, so if we can help create hope for people to say, hey, I didn't have the genius. There were no skills equipped. There was nothing telling me that like this is going to be awesome for you. And just like when you took your missionary trip to Nigeria and you were like, oh my God, I don't know what this is going to be, but like no one else showed up and I'm here. It's like that desperation or
Yeah.
hitting a pain line, that is your moment to shine. So if we can help people see this moment is probably has recently happened to you or is about to, or you might be currently in the middle of it, we invite you to lean
Yeah.
into that. Don't be afraid. Don't fall into the victim mindset of why is this happening for me? I can bet money. And when I bet money, I win. Just for the record of you podcast listeners, I literally win. You are going to get
Yeah.
something amazing as a result of you
And it's
betting
seen as
on
like
yourself.
life happens for you, not to you, right? In those situations,
100%.
like everything's happening for your benefit. And if you kind of shift that frame and like, what's the benefit? What am I going to get out of this? It's going to help you overcome it. So I do want to shift gears a little bit because you've got a few things that you've been able to build and you got some really awesome projects that's happening. So one, you have like the branding side and you've kind of gone through and got that business set up in a way where, the team, I mean, we work with you and I'm very public with our audience. Like you guys have come in and you've completely pimped out our branding and we're haven't even done the full rollout, but by the time this is probably released, like that entire rollout will be done. And so you've got that side done, but then there's a couple things that kind of come out of from us working where it seems like some of the innovations that you've pioneered and rolled out came from, I don't want to speak to that, but I feel like it kind of came out of like being at an impasse where you had to figure it out.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I think one of the things that you and I got to collaborate on and I massively give you credit for, is our brand brain. And I think that opportunity where you have a client like you who's like, well, I could pay, and don't take this literally, Iggy, I'm not going to pay you, just for the record. Iggy's like, did she say she'd pay me? No, I was saying that to edify you. I'm not going to pay you.
I'm gonna
But
send you. I'll make
literally,
sure my
if
assistant send you the invoice
you're
after
like,
this.
you're about to reverse invoice me because you're Nigerian, but I'm Indian. So I just cut it before it even began. Before you could get that momentary like glow of, is she serious? I'm not.
That's awesome.
But the love is there. So us getting to work together where you were able to use your AI genius and say, hey, what would it look like if we took your brand genius with my AI genius and combined that together and create a new product for you? And that's absolutely what we did. So you were a huge part of that starter, that Kickstarter of us just looking at what would the beta look like and does this
Yeah.
make any sense? And so to be able to create what we're calling now as Brand Brain, which is our launch product, it helps our branding clients, once we're done with the strategy, which is everything related to vision, core values, tone of voice, messaging, and positioning. It's all the words of the brand. Brand identity is everything visual that people are used to seeing. Those are the logos, the colors, the fonts, the mascots, the icons, your website, your landing page, how everything looks. That's the visuals. So when you combine brand strategy with brand identity together, small business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, they have an amazing foundation. But the piece that we were able to put together after, called Brand
Like, what do
Brain,
you do with it?
it takes that foundation.
It's like, what do you
Go
do
ahead.
with it? Right? Like, how do you take
What do you
that
do with it?
and use it on a daily basis and implement it throughout your entire business?
100%. So it's like taking that foundation and saying, that's great, but now what's next? You helped us incept this new technology called Brand Brain, and it is brand powered AI. And what that does is, after our clients got all of their messaging, positioning, visuals, words dialed in, now they can have massive leverage in creating their social media content, their advertisements, their any VSL scripts, email marketing, you name it, they can feed it into their brand brain because it's creating AI content that is powered by the brand, not the other way around.
And that's a really important distinction, right? Because working with you guys, and this is one of your genius, like being able to extract the information that people kind of keep in between their ears and really pull out like the creative genius out of them, right? Like everyone has creativities, like everyone is a creative genius in some kind, but a lot of times they don't know how to really take it out of their head and they don't really have a process for extracting it. And working with you, you have a very systematic way of extracting that from your clients, right? And that's what makes even the brand brain and what you guys have built it's a completely different world compared to what somebody would try and use ChatGPT for, because there's no systematic process of really extracting what makes you unique and being able to take that information and distill it into a model and train the AI on it. Like the output, it's just been it's been phenomenal. It's been very, insane. Very good. That comes from what you guys have already built and like you having that process fully dialed in and being able to extract all that information from the client. Right? Because I didn't even know we had a ton.
Yeah.
We had some elements of some of the things that you guys pulled out, but I would say maybe we had like 5%, and that's being very generous. And you guys pretty much extract like 95% of that out of me, put it into a systematic process, and then it's like, here's a complete output. And now we can actually take that and do something with it.
Exactly. And that like our IP, or like, what we put together in terms of our frameworks, our models, and how we pull that out of clients, the way I visualize it for people who may not understand what we're saying exactly, or they haven't gone through the branding process, like from a real firm who knows how to do it, I think of it like fracking oil out of the earth. Like we know that those oil reservoirs are there, but like you got to have a drill, you got to go 1,000 feet underground to pull out that oil. And the coolest thing about that is like, Iggy, like you 5% of your brand strategy, messaging, etc., was pulled to the surface. The coolest thing is the other 95% was within you. So it's not something that's outside of you. It's not us. I'm not going to overly take credit of like, this is our genius. It's within you. And our genius is the ability to pull people's brands out of them and bring them up to the surface so they can see the light of day. So that's why our podcast is called Own Your Brand, because I'm a firm believer that we don't need to echo and parrot the gurus and the big people out there. We just have to own who we are at a deeper level. And that even takes us closer to God or self-actualization, whichever verbiage lands.
And I love that, because I mean, that's, I think, what makes what you guys do world-class, right? Really world-class, because I've worked with lots of different, I've hired designers in the past. I've hired like people to do graphics and things like that, but no one's really had the strategy dialed in the way that you guys have. Right. And what I've come to realize, I mean, I went through our own process and analyzed like our client results. And I found that we have clients who are doing the right thing, but with the wrong strategy and not getting the results that they need. So a lot of people, and that's why I want to really stress the strategic side, and that being the most important step one, because a lot of people have gone out and they're doing the right thing. Right, they're getting logos and they're getting graphics and they're trying to do the branding thing. Right, they're
off of Fiverr.
Even if it's not off of Fiverr, like I've paid an absorbent amount of money to have people design some of our other stuff, and it's been the right thing to do, but with the wrong strategy, so the end result isn't satisfied. So I went through and I was like, wow, we have some clients who, man, they started with like the roughest version of our platform and they're still here. Well, I was like, there's some other clients who started around the same time and weren't able to figure out. And then after going through, I was like, the only delta was the strategy that these clients were implementing and how they were utilizing it. And the other ones were doing the right thing, but they were using it, they had the wrong strategy and it wasn't producing the results that they wanted. And that's why, like, coming in here, I was like, that's exactly what you guys do and why the output has been so phenomenal. It's you nail down the strategy first. You're extracting all the most important aspects from the person, right? And thinking, okay, what is the strategic direction? How do we need, what's the tone? What's the messaging? What's the positioning? What's the actual strategy of where you want to take this thing? And then everything else, like, I mean, anyone can go on Fiverr and do all these different things and they're going to get exactly what they pay for. It's going to be dog shit, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. 100%. And let's define the strategy a little bit, because like, you know, strategy with your football background too is like what is tactic versus strategy? So a tactic is like, please tell me how to do this exactly, a play by play, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That is a tactic, and it is something that you can follow blindly, and it is assigned to everyone cookie cutter. So if one person does it or a million people do it, it doesn't matter. This is the tactic. The problem with tactics is, while tactics help you think less because you just have to do monkey see, monkey do, just follow step after step, the tactics don't work for everyone because there's no customization or nuance, and they wear out, they're trendy. And so then they go out of style just as quickly as they came in. Whereas a strategy is customized, personalized, and nuanced to your brand and your scenario and situation. And what that looks like is that is more of a calculus situation of like A times X equals Y. And so like now you have more variables at play. You can put in constraints, but tactics is what do I do? Strategy is how do I do it? And so a good strategist, especially when it comes to a brand, a good brand strategist should be spending 80% of their time listening to you.
Yeah, because I mean, even with our process, we didn't have like our identity, like our brand identity really done until like maybe like 6 weeks in. And most of that time, and I really enjoyed like the first few times because it was just very strategic. And it was kind of like one of those concepts that one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Lincoln was, if you give me 5 hours to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. Right. And that's really what you guys do, is you spend that time sharpening the axe, getting it right. And then what comes of it is phenomenal. So for those of you guys who are listening, if you just feel like your presence and how you're presenting yourself and how you got your brand position just isn't reflective of the quality of work that you do. If you suck at what you do, don't engage Bijal. I'm just telling you that right now. If you suck at what you do, she's going to help you present in a way that you're world class, and then clients are going to start working with you and then realize that how you're presenting does not match to what's actually being delivered. So if you suck, don't even consider engaging with Bijal. Fix your shit, get good at what you're doing. But if you're really good at what you do and you want how that's being presented to reflect the amount of time and effort you've put into your craft, really honing your craft, then you have to work with Bijal so that the two can be in alignment, right? You want to be able to present in a way that's really representative of the passion that you put into what you do and the time that you've dedicated to sharpening your skill and getting good at the thing that you do, right? So you can charge what you're worth. But then when people see it, they're like, okay, I can tell that you've put time and effort into it. And so I wanted to stress that. And then you've got the brand brain we've kind of touched on. And then you have the your in-person event coming up soon. And that's going to be July 25th. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's the in-person event about?
Yes, I'm so excited. So thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, totally. Exactly what you said is what I tell people, and I think this will click in for your audience, is I would much rather have you be out competed than out marketed. So if you're out competed, hey, bro, you weren't good enough. Hey, sis, you didn't play the game as well. But to be out marketed while you were the best kept secret, that I'm not.
100%.
So let's get you some,
and that's a disservice to the marketplace. That's a disservice to the world. If you're truly world-class in what you do and somebody else is out marketing you, then it means that those who should be working with you are working with the wrong person and getting burned in the process. So you have like a moral obligation to get your shit together and make sure that's done properly.
So our event, which we're so stoked about, it's called the Brand Powered AI Intensive. That is going to be July 25th and 26th. And we're stoked to have you, Iggy, come be one of our featured speakers as being an AI expert who is leading AI setters and Charlie in doing all of these amazing things. One. Number two is you helped us incept Brand Brain. Number three, you're just a phenomenal human being who I have caught you multiple times pouring into people, including me. Like literally, you're our client, but you have many times mentored me back on areas that I could have used help in terms of like leadership or team. And like, when I see somebody like you, I want to put them on my stage. So I just have to like stop and just really appropriately shine the light on our host here because you are way too humble for what I see you doing and who I see you being. And I'm excited to be able to put on this 2-day event. It's going to be in Houston, Texas. And what we're going to do is I don't know about you, Iggy. I go to events about once a month, sometimes twice a month, and then I speak at events. So I'm traveling all the time. I'm a busy mom. I have 2 kids, 6 and 8. My husband is not a Manny. He's actually a double board certified.
Your husband is a certified stud. The dude is
boardified. Let's call him a boardified
He's a boardified stud.
Cecil, you're a boardified stud.
He's legit.
So he's actually going to be speaking at the event. I kind of told him that. So he's like, okay, what are the dates? So what I mean to say is he's got his practice, his plastic surgery practice. He also has his own SaaS company, which you guys jammed on, and he's busy. So when I'm out at events, one of the things that I've noticed is I'll end up with like 70 pages of notes in my Remarkable and a list of to-dos up to here when I leave an event that while it was great information and knowledge, when am I actually going to use it to move my business forward? So this brand powered AI intensive, people are literally not only going to learn how to use AI that represents their brand voice. So it sounds like them, it acts like them. There's very minimal editing that's required. And third part, they're going to walk away with an actual landing page, a sales page of something they can sell from immediately leaving the event. So I'm all about the work after you leave 2 days that's why it's called an intensive and not a retreat. is like, you're going to get the work done while we are together in the room. And when you get home, you're only going to have to put on a couple bows and cross your I's and dot your T's, and you are ready to launch and sell something. Like, can you imagine the value?
That's awesome. So essentially, I mean, if you've been thinking about getting started with something, but you don't know where to start, you should attend the event. Because not only are you going to get, because there's going to be a lot of information taught, right? There's going to be some strategy, but you're also going to get the tactics, right? So you learn the strategy and the frameworks and the principles, but then a part of it is actually taking that and then implementing it there while you're at the event, while you have the emotional high, while you're exposed to the environment of those who are like-minded, wanting to do the same thing, and then actually do something about it. And then you leave with something that you can actually launch and implement and bring to market, which I think is awesome.
And I'm excited to have you speak with your expertise. So why don't you share, you don't want to give it all away, but like give the audience some tidbits on like, what are you actually going to train on, since you're going to be there live and teaching in a very intimate way where people actually can get access to your brain that incepted AI setters, Charlie, and all of your other ventures that you've done that maybe not a lot of people even know about. So like, what are they going to get to learn from you?
For me, like, thanks for putting me on the spot. there's a lot of ways that can go. And for me, I've been actually like really thinking about what's going to be the most valuable thing that I can distill to the audience. And one of the things I want to be able to share is, how do you think through building out a strategy for utilizing new technology and having a systematic way to actually build that, like implement that into your business? Because a lot of people that are scared of technology and they don't know where to start. They typically say, I'm not tech savvy or whatever it is. So I realized I have a very systematic way of actually thinking through and have a process for deciding which aspects of my business do I need to leverage technology with. So I want to be able to share that with the audience, and then we can kind of think through, maybe jam on what aspect of the business, and then actually pick something and then utilize some emerging tech to streamline it. So
I love that. Yeah, because you're going to understand it, like the same things you're attracted to, teaching people the principle, the strategy, the model, and then take them right down and drilling into the tactics to show them actually how it works. So it's like, we're not just going to be high level nebulous where people are just listening to the speaker and absorbing your genius. They're also going to get a chance to apply it, which means it goes from knowledge into applied knowledge. And guys, when it becomes applied knowledge, you get to keep that. You own that from just being a participant at the event. It's absolutely amazing.
And that's really like where even the brand brain came from, is like you already have a lot of those things mapped out. So a lot of the hard work that your team's already done, right? And then it was just a matter of like, okay, now that you know, and this is what we jammed on, is really figuring out what part makes the most sense to utilize technology, right? And everyone, if they have a business, have something that they've already done a lot of the hard work. They've already eaten the glass and eaten the shit to kind of build those processes out. And now it's like, how do you take that and turn it into something that's like an asset for your business that adds enterprise value, but then also allows the end user who's going to be using it to benefit from all the years of expertise that you spent into honing this thing, and now you get to leverage it.
I think you just nailed it. Like the way you speak is like, it's just so potent. Like you speak and it has such high potency, Iggy, but you don't overcomplicate it. And I just want to just stop and make mention of that, to say that I've been on like a bajillion podcasts. Like I'm on 1 to 2 podcasts every week right now. And you are extraordinary at your communication skills. I think it gives us insight into how much of the mental work you've done. So like, keep eating the shit, keep eating the glass. Like the world needs you, bro. You're amazing. And what I wanted to say with that brought up something for me there is that what brand brain does is that if you're intimidated of AI, dude, so was I.
You were against it. You were like, there's no way it's going to be as
good. It. Okay. All right. We're going to just take
Let's unpack that. You were like, there's no way it's going to be as good. And now she's like, she's advocating. She's got this thing. She's made a complete 180. So let's unpack that.
Okay. We're going there. We're just like, dude, this is the thing about good friends is like, we're just gonna throw each other out there. Iggy's like, you put me on the spot, I'll put you on the spot back. Okay, you're right. I was not intimidated. I hated it. I was like, this is the stupidest shit ever. AI is mechanical, it's robotic, it's dehumanizing, it strips people of the entire brand voice, tone of voice, their freaking identity. And then we incepted this brand baby together, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's better than I thought it was going to be," and I was
We had a
so
moment when
mad.
we were building it
Remember?
out, and I could see your jaw literally hit the ground. Like we're like, so the way that this works. So again, there's a lot of pre-work that has to be done to even do it. And the only reason why this thing works and why it's so good is because you've already done all the pre-work. Like all the hard work is already done, right? So how do we take that
Oh my
and distill it
gosh.
into a model that where it can learn and understand the way that you think and how you process things. And so as we're going through this process and starting to train the AI and feed it some of this information, we had an assignment that we're trying to figure out for our own brand, right? We're trying to
Okay.
figure out how do we communicate our secret sauce that makes what we do special. And so we asked the AI. It wasn't even like it was rough training. Like the documentation for it wasn't even fleshed out. So we take it. We're like, all right, let's just test it and see how it goes. Like how's it gonna go? So we asked it, all right, based on the information that you have and all the documents and the processes that we've given you, what would you say? How would you describe our secret sauce? And what this thing delivered was just mind blowing. We still use it to this day, right?
It was so perfect. Have you ever had the moment where you are so wrong, you just get your ass handed to you, except for it's public?
Yeah,
That's what happened. I was like, oh my God. I go, it's so good. I'm mad. I don't know what to do. I was like, my hubris is through the roof. And then Iggy just sat there and laughed, and he was like, wow, this is really, really, really good, huh? I was like, and then I was like, let's read it
the
again. And
more
I
you
was
read
like,
it, the better it got.
oh my, I know, it was one of those things. I was like, damn it. I was like, what's gonna happen to me? Like, and Iggy was like, hey, all of your work is what fed this to turn
Yeah.
into this. And I was like, it took me, yeah, we had so much fun in that. And I was like, I literally an hour after, I was like, I'm just gonna go lay down. And I just sat there and I was like, am I gonna get replaced by AI? And I had to like bring it back and be like, no, we are not. So I'm here to say I'm a convert. I'm a convert from not only a healthy skeptic of AI. I hated it. I stood vehemently against it, and I have completely converted now. Because when I see brand brain in action, and I see, oh, back to what I was going to say like a couple minutes ago, when I see the appreciable asset that brand brain is, it allows people's brands to appreciate just like a Tesla does. Did you know this? When you drive a Tesla off the lot, it actually appreciates in value compared to every other car you buy. It immediately depreciates the minute you drive
Yeah.
it off the lot. If the brand brain can be a container that has no end, no capacity, doesn't have bad days, is never sick, and can remember every single iota of data, every single post you've ever written, every single copy of email you've ever written, anytime you've done a video, anytime you've trained, anytime you have spoken, and you had one robotic brain that remembered every single thing about you. Imagine, just like a Tesla, if any of you guys own a Tesla or are aware of it, or you can use your iPhone as an example, is your iPhone gets software upgrades. And so you keep getting more and
Yeah.
more benefit because your Tesla car or your Apple phone keeps increasing because it's self-editing and making itself smarter. What if you had a brand brain that did that for yourself? So that is what you helped me see. And it's incredible. And it's one of those things, guys, as an entrepreneur, you always have to watch the hubris. And when you're around super talented, genius givers like Iggy, always be sure to keep that open mind and don't ever let your ego get in the way of innovation. So it was an incredible
And what I've seen from it, and even just like the way you've kind of shifted, This is going to be probably one of the biggest, the thing that allows your business to go to that next level. And that comes
Hmm.
from innovation and going in and confronting your fears. And so you
Yeah.
confronted it and you're like, okay, how do we actually use this to fuel where we want to go instead of allowing this thing to be luggage that drags us, that creates drag?
And the same thing you're doing with AI setters and with Charlie is that people have fears of, "Well, what is this going to do to my sales team? What is this going to do to their families? They've supported us for so long. What is this going to do to our prospects? Are they going to feel like they're talking to an
Hmm.
AI?" And it's incredible. What I want to share with the audience is that when you have a friend and a client and a partner really that's like Iggy, is you literally you stop and you just appreciate that, like, God or source will send you messengers because we don't have to go
Yeah.
this alone. And so I want us to get used to the, like, I was wrong, I saw the light, this is so much better, and to keep that humility, because a lot of times as founders and CEOs we're the top guy or top girl and no one on our team can ever
Yeah.
challenge us. But having other people that you become close to and create strategic partnerships or JVs with, or even just
Yeah.
friendships with, you're going to benefit so much more. And I agree 100%. We're totally hitting the next level because of this innovation that you were willing to help me see and pour into with us. And now we've got this amazing event, Brand Powered AI, where we're taking our two geniuses and
Yeah,
combining it
it's a
together.
beautiful thing when, and it ultimately kind of comes from a sheer passion to do good, right? And actually like really do
Hmm.
good, you know. And for me, I love being around people who are good at what they do, but are also genuine human beings who care about like the impact that's being made, right? And so I want to help
100%.
more people like you win. I know you want to help more people like me win, and that's where it creates a beautiful synergy and a great foundation for just awesome innovation and just friendship as a whole. So
Agreed.
if you're
Beautiful.
interested in attending that intensive, there'll be a link somewhere in the show notes for you to be able to register, get your tickets, and attend. I think it's going to be 1,000% worth it because who knows? From it, there might be an innovation that comes out of all this shit and glass you've been eating, and you figure out how to leverage the technology to create something awesome that's going to make people's lives easier, right? So with the brand brain, like taking your process and extracting that information from your clients, building an AI repository that allows them to leverage that in real time in ways that's meaningful for them that they can see. I just see a ton of good coming from it. I just see a lot of people who are good at what they do finally having a way to communicate that to the world. And what we're doing, like the consequence of it is like it's going to force people to level up, right? It's going to force people to
100%.
level up. And if you like, gone are the days where all you had to do is be good at marketing and you could suck at the thing and you could make a ton of money. Like, gone are those days because the people who are actually really good at what they
Yep.
do, they're getting the technology and they're getting the leverage that they need to play that game and back it up. Right. So I see a massive kind of cleanup happening in the marketplace. And I think you're going to play a key role in allowing a lot of those people to rise a lot, ultimately allowing the cream to rise at the top.
100%. Couldn't have said it better. Like, yeah. So, like, this event is going to create transformation within people because that's just a
Hmm.
guarantee of the any event we've ever thrown in the past. There is a transformation that happens for every single person who attends. The second thing is if you want to be able to put in 1x effort for your content and get out an entire Q3 content calendar, 100 days of content, 1x in, get 100x out, that's going to happen. And number three is exactly what Iggy said, is start to be able to create a repository of understanding how do you use AI in a way that sounds like you, feels like you, isn't going to be icky when you
Yeah.
put it out there. And you end up with that sales page where you can immediately start
Yeah.
selling when you leave. Bonus and cherry on top is to be around a community of people that are not just like-minded, because that's table stakes for me. I want badasses and entrepreneurial friends who come and call me out, who are willing to look under the hood and innovate with me, are willing to challenge me, and are also my most ferocious, loudest supporters. Like, tying it back to friends and family at the beginning, they have a place in space, but it's not in your
Yeah.
entrepreneurial journey. it's moments like this, it's environments like this where you get to build your lifelong friendship. So that's what you stand to gain from the event, the Brand Powered AI Intensive, July 25th and 26th in Houston, Texas. 2 days. There is a pool party at the Patel estate at our custom home on Friday night. You're going to have
I'm looking forward to it. So let's kind of close out with a couple rapid fires. Number one, what's like the biggest lesson that you've learned this year? Like so far, if you can kind of distill biggest lesson that you've learned, what would it be?
That I had to finally work on the inside of me, my internal limiting beliefs, which were caught up around low self-esteem, low self-confidence, low self-worth, a lot of self-doubt, and this like need for external validation, this like need to constantly be achieving, to feeling like I'm worthy or deserving of anything. And that internal work, I understand that there is nothing about me that sounds like this. So like, you're just going to have to believe me that this is true and this is my story. And external confidence does not reflect internal confidence. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned is when I went on my weight loss and fitness journey, I started to meet the woman I'm really meant to be by healing a lot of the trauma that I had buried in the past with all the vices of booze and sugar and social media, to like ignore the things that were really within me that were requiring healing.
And I see that transformation being the tide that's rising everything else that you're doing. So that's powerful. Second is, what is a tool that you can't live without that you like recently implemented? It can't be AI, it has to be something else. That you're like, I can't see how I've gone this long without it.
Oh gosh. Okay, ClickUp.
Yep.
It's ClickUp. I love ClickUp. And we are tools are us over here. Anybody wants anything on the team. I recently had a software audit that someone on my team did, and I told them to quiet it down. And like, I don't care. ClickUp compared to Asana, which is something you and I talked about. I love you, Asana. You are so 2000, and like your girl had to go. So I had to move on to ClickUp. We had to get our Zapier automations in, and ClickUp is
that's awesome. And then last thing would be, what's a recent quote that you've read that had a meaningful impact on you that you want to share?
I actually make up my own quotes most of the time. I will say this is the one that's just popping to mind, and I don't know why, but I believe in source, is that, and this is from Dan Martell, so I'll quote him, even though he tells me never to credit him, is that it is required of you as you grow to take a friend inventory. And what that is a friend inventory of who is still actually supporting you and who is no longer in favor. And what that means to say is not to take it super emotionally, but understand that a friend inventory is required because not everyone in your life, based on their own personal growth journey, is really ready to see you win. And that happens, they're willing to champion you from rags up until where they are. But the minute you surpass them into riches, you start to lose a lot of said friends. And it is okay to prune them, pluck them, or distance them. But that is required so that you can continue to grow.
People want to see you do good, just not better than them.
Exactly. So friend inventory. We can also call it fam inventory, but with fam, I recommend you more distance rather than just cut them out unless they are truly toxic. But I think it's something that we all dance around as entrepreneurs. And that's why you see after the holidays, people come back in January and their vision is all muffled because they've had too many dinners with family members who are not seeing the same vision or adding fuel to your fire.
When people see the discrepancy between your growth and where they're at, all it does is just shines a mirror to them, showing them that there are things that they need to do. And there are a few of those people who are willing to acknowledge the mirror and be like, you know what, I need to level up. But most people go into survival mode and try and bring you down so they can feel comfortable about the fact that they're not taking action.
100%. It's the crabs in the bucket, is like you're trying to climb up and they're pulling your leg down. And that's just something I totally am grateful for our relationship from the very beginning, is that it was the opposite of crabs in the bucket. It was like iron sharpens iron. Where are something that you may not be seeing that I may be able to offer value, and vice versa. And so that we could both rise together and continue to be very honest with one another in development and growth to see the other person's potential move forward. And I cherish that so much about you as a person. Like, I'm just so thankful for you and the human that you are that I can't wait to
I
see
appreciate it. Well, Bijal, it has been an absolute joy. It's been probably one of the funnest podcasts that I've done. So for those of you guys who are listening, I definitely highly encourage you. One, if you can make it to the event. And then two, if you're good at what you do and you're being out marketed, you have a moral obligation to the world and to the marketplace to fix it. Engage with Bijal to get your branding figured out, get your brand strategy dialed in, and get that part of your business dialed in so that what you're presenting is truly an alignment of the good that you can do so you can reach more people, make more money, have a bigger impact, and truly live to your full potential. So thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time, stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms.